Chapter 91. In reality, it wasn't just above these four large pillars that there were these dense, intricate patterns. In fact, the entire cottage of the zither Kam Lao had these patterns. But these patterns were very light in color, and if one didn't pay attention, they wouldn't be easily noticed at all. Li Xuangan, being a genius, with a saint destiny royal physique, would be a heaven's proud daughter no matter where she was placed. She looked closely at these patterns and immediately felt that they were extraordinary. As a genius, she couldn't help but carefully study them, wanting to see through the mysteries within, but when she carefully investigated, she found that these patterns were not Dao runes, nor were they chapter charms, yet she always felt that there were unspeakable mysteries concealed within. Did you figure out any mystery? Li Qiye walked up beside her, smiled casually, and said to Li Xuangan, who was studying the patterns. Li Xuangan couldn't help but look at the little man in front of her, who was even younger than herself, with that calm demeanor, that leisurely and composed air. She already understood that the little man in front of her already knew what this was. What is this? Li Xuangan couldn't help but ask. As a heaven's proud daughter, a genius, Li Xuangan had never belittled herself, yet she had studied for so long and still couldn't figure out the mystery of these patterns, but at this moment, Li Qiye seemed certain of the outcome, which made Li Xuangan feel a little helpless. Was the little man in front of her truly just a mortal physique, mortal destiny, mortal wheel? Zither rhyme, Kem van. Li Qiye looked at these dense, intricate patterns and said softly. At this moment, his eyes seemed to become exceptionally profound. At this moment, Li Xuangan felt that the little man in front of her seemed to have transformed into another person. On his body, it seemed as if he had endured endless vicissitudes. On his body, it seemed as if countless years had been deposited. The most regrettable thing in the world is the lack of a bosom friend. Finally, the little man in front of her said such an incomprehensible sentence. Li Xuangan couldn't help but ask, how do you know this is the zither rhyme? What is the mystery contained within? As a genius, a heaven's proud daughter, she was now like an eager student. The mystery within, well, is a story. Li Qiye said with a smile, as for how I know, I just counted on my fingers. Li Xuangan couldn't help but feel a little powerless. The little man in front of her truly made her unable to see through him. Even regarding this zither rhyme, she didn't belittle herself. She dared to say that her understanding would not necessarily be weaker than any other genius, but the little man in front of her took one glance, and was already certain of the outcome. This was simply monstrous. It made her wonder, was this little man in front of her still human? Finally, the disciple and master of Protector Mo had finished preparing everything for Li Qiye. Nan Huiran also didn't know where he got a good zither. Li Qiye gently stroked it once, nodded in approval. You all should go back. I want to be alone for a while. Finally, Li Qiye said to Protector Mo. Nan Huiran was fine, but Protector Mo, as the person supervising Li Qiye's confinement, bore the responsibility of protecting Li Qiye. He hesitated for a moment and said, however, you are not safe here. If this place is not safe, other places are even less safe. Li Qiye smiled, then instructed Protector Mo, saying, your task is not to protect me, but to keep an eye on Chao Xiong, understand? Protector Mo looked at Li Qiye for a moment and finally silently nodded. Although he was a man of few words, in reality, he still had a keen mind. When Li Qiye instructed him like this, he immediately understood what he should do. You should also go back. Me being here alone is enough. Finally, Li Qiye also told Li Xuangan to go back. Here he didn't need Li Xuangan's protection. In fact, Li Xuangan staying here was also inconvenient for him to fish for the big one. Finally, Li Xuangan and the master and disciple Nan Huiran all left, leaving only Li Qiye here. Li Qiye stayed inside the ghost cottage, Qiye Lao, but didn't do anything. He just sat cross-legged in the main hall, closing his eyes to rest his mind. Very quickly, the sun set and the moon rose and night fell. The entire main peak was enveloped in gloomy darkness. At this time, all sounds in the surroundings were silent. Outside the main peak, the faint sound of wolves howling could be heard. Under the darkness, this area of mountains, forests, trees, and vines also seemed to become fierce. It seemed that changes were starting to happen. Here, it seemed that evil energy was rising from the ground here. It seemed that an ominous sign was about to rise from the earth. Hoo hoo hoo. Just at this moment, a fierce wind suddenly howled inside the ghost cottage. For a moment, black mist appeared inside the ghost cottage. It seemed as if this place was about to turn into hell. He. Suddenly, bursts of eerie, chilling laughter echoed inside the ghost cottage. It seemed as if some evil ghost inside the ghost cottage was lurking in the darkness, staring at Qiye, and laughing eerily. Qiye, who had been sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, now opened his eyes. He smiled calmly and said unhurriedly, "I don't want to do it myself. I only ask one question, where is that zither?" At this moment, Qiye was already holding the zither that Nan Huairan had prepared for him. His 5 fingers were resting on the strings. He. The only reply to Qiye was the sinister laughter. Following that, creak, bursts of bone friction sounds rang out. At this time, when Qiye raised his eyes to look, where was there any ghost cottage? At this moment, he was in a nameless barren wilderness. Looking as far as the eye could see, it was an endless land of desolation. More terrifying was that, at this time, skeletons, one after another, actually crawled up from the ground. Skeletons that had been dry for unknown years rose from the earth, carrying broken weapons and chipped swords, swaying as they walked towards Qiye. For a moment, an endless sea of skeletons surrounded Qiye. This kind of illusion, for me, is just breakfast, it's meaningless. Seeing this ocean of skeletons, Qiye still said with a leisurely smile, "PFF." Just at this moment, a skeleton carrying a blade slashed towards Qiye. Qiye remained motionless. The blade slashed onto Qiye's body, and immediately blood splattered. Bursts of intense pain followed, yet Qiye remained still and still smiled. Creak. Bursts of bone friction sounds were hair-raising, making one's scalp tingle. If it were anyone else, they would have turned and run long ago. At this time, countless skeletons crawled to Qiye's side, grabbing his arms and clinging to his legs. Each skeleton lifted Qiye and pulled his limbs in all directions, as if they wanted to dismember Qiye. Being dismembered by so many skeletons, bursts of intense pain came, followed by blood flowing profusely. With a puff sound, Qiye's arms and legs were torn open by the skeletons, and his body was torn into 2 halves. Blood sprayed out, internal organs spilled all over the place, and his head rolled far away. If it were anyone else, they would have acted and resisted long ago. They would have struck out to kill these skeletons, but Qiye's head, which had rolled extremely far, still carried a calm smile. "I only ask one question, where is that zither? Out of consideration for the old acquaintance's status, I won't act. If I act, the consequences will be unimaginable." The head rolling on the ground, Qiye still said with a smile. Suddenly, the scene changed. There were no skeletons, and his body was also perfectly intact. Qiye was still sitting inside the ghost cottage. Boom. Suddenly, Qiye's entire body felt light and buoyant, as if he was growing wings and ascending to an immortal. At this moment, the immortal gate opened in the sky, and Qiye was involuntarily pulled into the immortal gate. Entering the immortal gate, Qiye was in an immortal realm. Inside the immortal palace, he saw immortal cranes flying, divine mountains floating and sinking, the immortal palace was brilliant, immortal soldiers, divine treasures, heavenly treasures. Divine stones that made countless cultivators drool were within easy reach. Just as people were about to get lost, bursts of immortal music rang out in the immortal realm. 2 teams of graceful immortal maidens arrived. For a moment they danced elegantly. The 2 teams of immortal maidens surrounded Qiye and began to dance. Each immortal maiden had an earth-shattering appearance. Li Xuangan could be said to be a great beauty, but compared to the immortal maidens in front of her, she still paled in comparison. What was even more captivating was that the immortal maidens were only draped in thin silk. Their extremely beautiful bodies were faintly visible. The 2 teams of immortal maidens danced faster and faster. The dance was extremely provocative, unusually sensual, making people feel their blood boil. Under such a dance, let alone a man, even a woman would be moved. Brahman's wonderful dance. Qiye remained unmoved, still smiling, and said, "It seems to be an old acquaintance." The dance became faster and faster, and more provocative. Even an immortal would probably be attracted by this sensual dance, but Qiye just sat quietly and appreciated it. Clearly, this kind of illusion was ineffective against Qiye. Suddenly, the scene changed. Qiye was walking in the desert, with the sun overhead. The illusion changed again and again. If it were other cultivators, each illusion would be aimed at the person's 7 emotions and 6 desires. Any cultivator, even if they could pass one illusion, would probably not be able to pass the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. As long as they were human, they would surely have 7 emotions and 6 desires. Unfortunately, this was Qiye. Qiye's Tao heart was unshakable. He had floated and sunk through countless years. What kind of hardships and changes had he not experienced? As the illusions changed from one to another, Qiye was getting impatient. Finally, he spoke up and said, "It seems you want me to act." Clang, clang, clang. As Qiye's 5 fingers plucked, the sound of the zither immediately rang out, and all the illusions instantly vanished. Clang. Clang, clang. Bursts of zither sounds. At this moment, the dense, intricate patterns inside the ghost cottage actually rippled along with Qiye's zither sound. As soon as the illusion disappeared, a monster appeared inside the ghost cottage at this moment. A giant monster was seen with ox horns, blood-red eyes, a snake body, and eagle wings, dragging a long, thick, bloody tongue. "Where is your true form?" Qiye looked at the monster and said at ease and casually. "Ooh." The monster roared once, howling at Qiye. Qiye's 5 fingers stroked the strings, and the ringing zither sound immediately rang out. The zither rhyme inside the ghost cottage immediately responded, becoming stronger and stronger. Bang! A sound rang out. Just at this moment, the ground in the center of the main hall suddenly cracked open, and an ancient zither shot up instantly, echoing the zither rhyme. The ancient zither had an extremely ancient style. Light flowed on it. It shot up and instantly landed in Qiye's hands. Roar! As soon as the ancient zither fell into Qiye's hands, the monster roared frantically and charged towards Qiye. Qiye's eyes narrowed, and he said in a deep voice, "Retreat." As soon as he finished speaking, his 5 fingers plucked the strings of the ancient zither. Clang! The zither sound was like a sword. In an instant, the patterns inside the entire ghost cottage lit up, transforming into terrifying sword energy. With a puff sound, the sword energy fell and instantly sliced the giant monster. Flying. The monster was sent flying by the sword energy, rolling far away. Its blood-red eyes stared at Qiye, revealing fear. "If you don't show your true form, be careful I cut you down." Qiye held the ancient zither, saying with a leisurely smile. He. The monster laughed eerily, the sound was unpleasant, extremely harsh, making people's scalp tingle. The laughing sounds of he rang out, you can never kill me. No one can kill me. Really? You say, when I dig up the white bones under the Vong Kui Peak, can I kill you or not? Qiye said with a leisurely smile. Thump, thump, thump. Hearing Qiye say this, the monster was frightened and retreated repeatedly. Show your true form to me. Don't play tricks in front of me. Qiye looked at the monster, sitting cross-legged on the ground, and gently stroked the ancient zither. Clang, clang, clang. The zither sound rang out once again. The zither sound was like flowing water, flowing inside the ghost cottage. As the zither sound flowed, the zither rhyme inside the ghost cottage also harmonized with it, gentle and smooth. In the midst of the zither sound, it was as if one could see a small village appearing before their eyes, green mountains shrouded in mist, small bridges over the river, courtyards with crowing chickens, seeming like a tranquil small village. The inconceivable monster listened to this zither music, thumping as it retreated backward. At this moment, layers of mist on its body dissipated. Finally, the giant monster disappeared. After the mist completely dispersed, where was there any monster? A figure appeared there, a graceful silhouette. Just looking at her back, one could topple all beings. Just a back view could make tens of thousands look back. This was definitely an alluring beauty, definitely an unparalleled treasure. Who would have thought that a hair-raising monster had a true form that was in peerless beauty? Flowing water people's home, Lu Tui Nanjia. This unclear silhouette looked at Qiye with incredulity, mumbling, You, how do you know this tune? Little he, it really is you. Qiye stopped his hands, smiled casually, and looked at this peerless, hazy silhouette, saying. The peerless beauty was shocked to hear Qiye's words, and retreated repeatedly, saying with incredulity and fear, You, who are you? That year, under the parasol tree, who else was there besides the little boy Mingren when I dug up the corpse? For you. Qiye smiled and said. You are adult divine crow, the Na Dai Nan. The peerless silhouette opened her eyes wide in disbelief and said. Qiye gently stroked the ancient zither once and said unhurriedly, Excluding me, excluding the little boy Mingren, who else knows about the parasol tree, who else knows about Vong Kui Peak, who else knows about flowing water people's home? This tune of flowing water people's home was taught by me to the little boy Mingren. It really is you, adult divine crow. The peerless silhouette was extremely surprised and delighted. She quickly stepped forward, exclaiming in surprise, Adult divine crow, you are truly still alive. I am eternally immortal, this is nothing strange. Qiye smiled, yet also felt a sense of emotion. The peerless silhouette approached. Her figure was hazy and unclear, but from the outline, one could tell that she was a peerless beauty. Qiye finally looked at her, shook his head and said, You haven't dissipated yet. Why do you suffer so much? Turning yourself into neither human nor ghost. You must remember what I told you that year, you are not Suyuha. You are not a ghost, but you are also not a human. You are just a single thread of attachment unwilling to dissipate. The peerless silhouette bowed her head, and remained silent upon hearing Qiye's words. I know. Qiye shook his head and said, You like the little boy Mingren. However, don't forget, even that year, the little boy Mingren couldn't transform you. You are ultimately a dead person, and moreover, your soul has dissipated, and your resentment has vanished. You are not a ghost, nor are you a wandering resentment in the world. Even more so, you are not Suyuha's soul remaining in the world. In reality, you have no relationship with Suyuha anymore. You are just a single thread of attachment, unwilling to part with Mingren. The peerless silhouette still bowed her head and said nothing. She did not speak. The biggest flaw of the little boy Mingren is that he is too soft-hearted. I told him that year to deliver you. With a zither tune, but he didn't do it. Qiye said in a deep voice. The peerless silhouette said in a low voice, Adult, this is not the fault of immortal Emperor Mingren. It is. It is I who was unwilling to be delivered. I only wanted to remain. That, even if it is just a single thread of attachment. The little boy Mingren is no longer here. Do you feel that? Continuing to remain here as a single thread of attachment has meaning. When the little boy Mingren was still alive, he was benevolent and lenient, and would still often come here to play a tune for you. But you also know that this was not just for you. The little boy Mingren has passed away. Why do you still remain here? Qiye shook his head and said. Being spoken to by Qiye like this. The silhouette called little he looked dim, lowering her head very, very low. Finally, she just said softly, after he left, I hope that one day I could be buried with him under the peach tree. It was just a wish I couldn't fulfill, so I had to stay with this zither all along. Later this zither sank into the ground on its own, and I also fell asleep with it. Looking at the very pitiful woman in front of him, Qiye sighed softly, and finally had to say, all right then. After I finish all my affairs, I will go to Vong Kui Peak to retrieve your corpse. And bury you under the peach tree, fulfilling your final wish. Thank you, adult. Little he bowed in thanks, speaking with gratitude. Seeing her, Qiye sighed softly. He was unable to express the feelings in his heart. He could only say that this was fate playing tricks on people. That year he, as the Dark Crow, Na, led immortal Emperor Mingren onto the path of cultivation. There was a reason why he let immortal Emperor Mingren choose this place to establish the cleansing incense ancient sect, Te Nan Ko Phi. In the barren era, Hong Mang Thoi Dai. This place was a mysterious land. Many strange things had happened here. In that era, countless races had tried to explore this place. It wasn't until the pioneering era, Kai Hong Thoi Dai, that a heavenly talented foreign race finally rose up here, establishing an unrivaled empire. That foreign race became a tyrant here. Not only was this foreign race brutal, but he also slaughtered the entire human race in the human emperor world, Nanhong Gioi. Later, a great sage, Dai Hien, of the human race rose up, fiercely resisting this tyrant. This great sage was indeed unmatched in Tao transformation, looking down on the 8 desolations, Bat Hong. He was once the opponent of that tyrant. However, that tyrant had explored this mysterious land. Every time he faced a life or death battle with the great sage, whenever there was danger, he could borrow the power of this mysterious land to defeat the great sage. The great sage was not discouraged, battling this land again and again, but failing again and again. From a hot-blooded youth fighting to an elder with white hair, finally, this great sage also felt despair. Unless he could bear the heaven's will, Thien Men, only then could he defeat the tyrant who borrowed the power of this mysterious land. But he didn't have this opportunity. He missed the chance to bear the heaven's will. At the time of his final crushing defeat, the great sage thought of a method. The great sage had a daughter. His daughter, both in talent and beauty, was peerless and unrivaled, known as the number 1 beauty at the time. In order to learn the secret of this land, the great sage finally allowed his daughter to marry that tyrant. That tyrant also understood the intentions of his mortal enemy. But he coveted the beauty of the number 1 beauty, and also seized her into his empire. From then on, the number 1 beauty, whom countless people admired, became the tyrant's sole possession. Becoming the tyrant's plaything. Having fallen into the tyrant's hands, the number 1 beauty suffered all kinds of humiliation and indecent abuse, but in the end, she still managed to obtain the secret of this land. The great sage, by borrowing his daughter to obtain the secret, defeated the tyrant in the final battle and collapsed the brutal empire. However, the matter did not end there. Later, the great sage still could not inherit the secret of this land. He forcefully ascended to the heavens, wanting to use the secret of this land to seize the heavens' will and bear the heavens' will, wanting to become the number one unrivaled person in the 9 worlds, Qiye. However, the number one beauty, after enduring humiliation and completing her mission, died of sorrow in the darkness, but her resentment did not dissipate, lingering for a long time over this land. When the great sage wanted to impact the heavens' will, the long-lingering resentment was stimulated and suddenly went mad. Towards his daughter, the great sage had always had a feeling of indebtedness. His daughter dying of sorrow further caused the great sage immense stimulation, causing a heart demon, Tom Ma, to arise in his Tao heart. At the crucial moment, the resentment of his daughter suddenly rushed into the heavens, rushing into the heavens' punishment, Thien Keen, causing the great sage's heart demon to act up. It immediately made him furious. Finally, he could not endure the backlash of the heart demon and died under the heavens' punishment. In the end, the human race nation, established by the great sage here, also turned into a ruin. And the daughter of the great sage, the number one beauty of that era, was Suyuha. Countless years passed. Qiye, as the Dark Crow, guided immortal Emperor Mingren to establish the cleansing incense ancient sect here, but at that time, this place was a ruin, yet Suyuha's resentment still remained, often coming out to cause chaos. The resentful energy soared, turning this place into a ghost domain, vinfpak. Later, immortal Emperor Mingren, under Qiye's guidance, found the place where Suyuha was buried. He restored her corpse and buried her in another beautiful landscape. Immortal Emperor Mingren used an unsurpassed zither tune to deliver Suyuha's resentment. After repeated deliveries, finally, Suyuha's resentment dissipated, and she finally closed her eyes and was interred. However, after the resentment dissipated, when Suyuha's wandering soul remained in the world, as she closed her eyes, a thread of attachment was born towards immortal Emperor Mingren. Finally, Suyuha closed her eyes, and was buried in an unknown place. But that single thread of attachment followed the ancient zither back to the cleansing incense ancient sect. Later, when Qiye, as the Dark Crow, discovered it, this thread of attachment had already resided inside the cleansing incense ancient sect. Qiye did not agree with this kind of situation. Suyuha was dead, it was impossible for her to be reborn. Moreover, this single thread of attachment was not Suyuha. It was not human, not a ghost, and even less a living being. It was just a single thread of attachment. A single thread of attachment remaining in the world was only torture for her. She could not become a living being. She could not follow immortal Emperor Mingren. She was just a vague and illusory attachment. Therefore, Qiye asked immortal Emperor Mingren to deliver her, allowing her to depart peacefully, but unfortunately, this single thread of attachment was unwilling to leave. Immortal Emperor Mingren, being benevolent and lenient, also did not forcefully deliver her. It was precisely because of this that she had remained here all along, staying with the ancient zither all along, and unable to leave. Recalling the past, even Qiye, who had gone through countless years, couldn't help but sigh softly. Thinking of this, Qiye looked at the peerless silhouette and said, "You said that after the ancient zither sank into the ground, you fell asleep under the earth with the zither. Why did you come out to cause trouble now? I see that this is not just a simple haunting. I see that the heaven and earth essence here has been polluted. You are just a single thread of attachment, you cannot possess such great divine ability. Or there are other reasons inside." The single thread of attachment of Suyuha said, "After the ancient zither went underground, I have been sleeping underground all along. I also don't know how long I slept. Later, there was a sudden abnormal movement, and evil energy invaded, which disturbed me. And I woke up. I am here, unwilling to be disturbed by people, so I only scared the disciples away from this place." Evil energy invasion. Qiye's eyes narrowed and he said, "Adult I think it's possible that the mysterious land beneath the earth is causing trouble. The peerless silhouette couldn't help but say. Impossible. Qiye's expression changed upon hearing this. His always calm eyes flared up immediately, and he said in a deep voice, "That year, I led the little boy Mingren and people like Big Rooster Duke Dai Kutsong to fight fiercely until the heavens and earth shook, forcibly sealing it. The little boy Mingren bore the heavens' will. He followed my instructions, killed his way in again, and sealed that place with unsurpassed methods. That mysterious land absolutely cannot break through the little boy Mingren's seal. I am confident about this point. This is probably absolutely true. That evil energy, I am too familiar with it." The peerless silhouette said in fright, "That kind of feeling, I am too clear about it. After I woke up here, I always felt uneasy. I felt a tiny amount of evil energy escaping from the ground." The peerless silhouette saying this made Qiye's heart sink. Although she was just a single thread of attachment of Suyuha, this matter had too great an impact on her. If she said so, then it was absolutely not wrong. He had faith in immortal Emperor Mingren. Moreover, this matter was related to the eternal foundation of the cleansing incense ancient sect. Immortal Emperor Ming Ren must have been extremely careful. With the unrivaled methods of immortal Emperor Mingren after achieving the immortal emperor title, Qiye had faith in him. As long as he suppressed it and placed a seal, this mysterious land would absolutely not break through immortal Emperor Mingren's seal. Now that such an abnormal change had occurred, what exactly had happened beneath the earth? Qiye's eyes narrowed. After a long time, he said to the peerless silhouette, "It seems that some matters will make me change my plan. When necessary, I will open your coffin. If absolutely necessary, I will first bury you under the peach tree." "Thank you, adult." The peerless silhouette bowed slightly. She was just a single thread of attachment, existing with the ancient zither. Although she had some minor mysterious divine abilities, she could not bury herself. Qiye gently stroked the ancient zither in his hand. He was too familiar with this ancient zither. When immortal Emperor Mingren first learned to play the zither, he had given this zither to him. Although this ancient zither was not some unparalleled treasure, after immortal Emperor Mingren played it countless times, especially after immortal Emperor Mingren bore the heaven's will and achieved the immortal emperor title, it was even more extraordinary. Qiye carefully put away the ancient zither and meticulously looked at the dense, intricate patterns inside the ghost cottage. "Does adult want to borrow the zither rhyme?" Seeing Qiye staring blankly at the patterns, she couldn't help but say. Qiye gently shook his head and said, "The descendants of the cleansing incense ancient sect are all a bunch of incompetent fools. A treasure mountain is right in front of them, yet they don't know the goods. How much imperial foundation, de yuan, and immortal intent, tny, is contained within the zither rhyme inside this ghost cottage. Such divine might is enough to allow the cleansing incense ancient sect to survive a difficult period of time. A bunch of people focus all their attention on immortal emperor treasures, Tien de Baokai, and imperial arts de Thuet. The cottage of the zither, although this was not the place where immortal Emperor Mingren resided, immortal Emperor Mingren had played the zither here. Especially after he became the immortal emperor, the number of times he played the zither here was definitely not small. As an immortal emperor, bearing the heaven's will, wielding the cosmos, with endless immortal might, any object that received his divine might's blessing would gain extraordinary benefits. Just imagine, immortal Emperor Mingren bore the heaven's will. The immortal tune he played possessed what kind of divine might? The profound great Tao mysteries contained within were how astonishing. It could be said that this cottage of the zither, under immortal Emperor Mingren's repeated zither playing, still stood firm. The zither rhyme within not only concealed immortal Emperor Mingren's powerful imperial foundation and immortal might, but also contained the profound meaning of the great Tao. It can be said that the dense, intricate patterns inside this cottage of the zither contained an unsurpassed zither Tao. If one enters the Tao through the zither, they can definitely rely on it to walk out an astonishing great Tao of cultivation. However, Qiye was not interested in the zither Tao. What he wanted to borrow was the imperial foundation, an immortal might hidden within this zither rhyme. The ancient zither in his hand was the one immortal Emperor Ming-Ren played. He knew the zither music perfectly, as it was all taught by him. With the ancient zither in hand, the terrifying extent of the imperial foundation and immortal might he could activate was unimaginable. While Qiye was being punished in the ghost cottage, a shocking event was also happening in the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect. On this day, a huge ancient ship flew in from outside the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect. The ancient ship was immensely large, 10 miles long. When it flew from above, it cast a terrifying shadow on the ground. The ancient ship was like a giant moving fortress, exhaling and inhaling ancient brilliance. The runes and patterns carved on the hull were constantly flowing, emitting the power of the great Tao. There was no doubt that this ancient ship could not only fly in the sky, but also withstand the attacks of cultivators. On the ancient ship, blood energy was like a rainbow, and a king marquis, Vong Hao, prestige poured down. With no restraint whatsoever on the king marquis prestige, the surging king marquis prestige made the disciples of the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect feel it even from afar. Such a display of power was not a friendly visit, but a provocation against the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect. Ha! When the ancient ship arrived outside the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, 800 experts were lined up on the ancient ship. They shouted in unison. Their prestige was like a wave, surging up and enveloping the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, deafening the disciples of the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, and making their blood energy tumble. In an instant, the sound of bells ringing echoed throughout the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, warning the disciples inside the sect that there was an enemy attack. However, although the ancient ship had arrived at the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, it did not attack the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect. This huge ancient ship stopped outside the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect. In an instant, everyone in the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect was alarmed. Not only the hall masters and protectors of the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, but even the 6 great elders instantly couldn't sit still. When the great elder walked out of the main peak, seeing the banner on the ancient ship embroidered with the word battle Qian, his face darkened. In the Baotan Thuong Quoc, the king marquises who could be conferred such a word battle could be counted on one's fingers. Now, without even looking, he also knew who the opponent was. Marquis battle, Li Qian Hao. A king marquis conferred by the human Emperor Nan Hong of the Baotan Thuong Quoc. It could be said that he was also one of the most senior king marquises of the Baotan Thuong Quoc. Marquis battle, although he did not originate from the Sacred Heaven sect, Tan Thien Jiao, he came from another great sect, but he was loyal to the human emperor of the Baotan Thuong Quoc. He had once established glorious military achievements for the Baotan Thuong Quoc. On the borders of the Baotan Thuong Quoc, countless small sects were trampled and destroyed in his hands. Marquis battle was not only a fierce general of the Baotan Thuong Quoc, but also a great villain of the Baotan Thuong Quoc. Marquis battle leading 800 battle generals to arrive outside the mountain gate of the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect was not just alarming to the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect. It also alarmed many sects and lineages of the Baotan Thuong Quoc, especially the sects and lineages closer to the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect. Upon seeing the ancient ship appear, they were all shocked. Marquis battle's battleship. Could it be that Marquis battle is going to personally lead an expedition? Seeing the ancient ship, countless sect cultivators were shocked. Some sect masters and patriarchs of sects changed color, saying, after Marquis battle was conferred the title, he rarely left the imperial capital. This time, he suddenly appears, why is there no sign at all? The ancient ship's appearance was secretly watched by many cultivators and powerful individuals. When they saw the battleship stop outside the cleansing incense ancient sect, the accompanying cultivators and powerful individuals looked at each other, secretly startled. Could it be that Marquis Battle wants to personally lead an expedition against the cleansing incense ancient sect? Some sect masters and patriarchs changed color, murmuring. For a moment, many important figures thought of many things. The cleansing incense ancient sect and the sacred heaven sect were mortal enemies. Today, the sacred heaven sect established the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc, which was the territory that the cleansing incense ancient sect managed that year, wider than the ancient nation the cleansing incense ancient sect built that year. In the battle 30,000 years ago, the old ancestor of the sacred heaven sect personally acted. The cleansing incense ancient sect was greatly defeated, losing the ancient nation they had wielded for tens of thousands of years. The cleansing incense ancient sect suffered heavy casualties and finally had to retreat to their ancestral land. After the cleansing incense ancient sect's great defeat, the sacred heaven sect did not take advantage of the situation to pursue their old ancestor also did not act to completely destroy the cleansing incense ancient sect. Even later, when the cleansing incense ancient sect declined, although the sacred heaven sect and the cleansing incense ancient sect still had minor conflicts, the sacred heaven sect still did not act to annihilate the cleansing incense ancient sect. Regarding this situation, there were many circulating versions of the story within the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc, and even the entire Great Central Region, Dai Trung Vuk. Some rumors suggested that the sacred heaven sect did not act to destroy the cleansing incense ancient sect, because the cleansing incense ancient sect still had extremely powerful old monsters alive, and the sacred heaven sect's old ancestor was not confident in destroying the cleansing incense ancient sect in one go. There were also rumors suggesting that the sacred heaven sect did not destroy the cleansing incense ancient sect because the sacred heaven sect's old ancestor was not confident in breaking the cleansing incense ancient sect's imperial foundation, the Ko. Although the cleansing incense ancient sect had declined, it was ultimately a sect created by an immortal emperor. On this land, the imperial foundation laid by the immortal emperor was unshakable. Therefore, the sacred heaven sect was not confident in breaking the cleansing incense ancient sect's imperial foundation. There were also rumors suggesting that the sacred heaven sect did not destroy the cleansing incense ancient sect because the cleansing incense ancient sect's immortal emperor Tru Chi, Tien de Chan Kai, still remained. As long as the immortal emperor Tru Chi was in the hands of the cleansing incense ancient sect for one day, the cleansing incense ancient sect would not be destroyed for one day. No matter what was said, in short, after the sacred heaven sect defeated the cleansing incense ancient sect and established the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc, they never attacked the cleansing incense ancient sect again. Tens of thousands of years passed quickly. Now the battleship of Marquis Battle suddenly appeared outside the cleansing incense ancient sect. How could this not shock people? Marquis Battle arriving at the cleansing incense ancient sect caused a considerable stir. This news spread instantly throughout the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc. For a moment, many sects and lineages in the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc couldn't help but wait and see. Marquis Battle was personally conferred by the human emperor of the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc as a battle general of the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc. He largely represented the will of the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc, and also represented the will of the Sacred Heaven sect. Now that Marquis Battle was personally leading an expedition, did this mean that the Sacred Heaven sect was finally going to make a move against the Cleansing Incense Ancient sect? Perhaps the Cleansing Incense Ancient sect has completely declined, with no way to turn things around. The Sacred Heaven sect is finally raising the butcher knife towards the Cleansing Incense Ancient sect. An elder from a sect said. There were also old monsters who had some knowledge of the battle that year, saying, "It seems that Lu Sanjian, Lu Tam Kim, is truly dead. The Sacred Heaven sect is finally going to make a move." Lu Sanjian was famous in Those years. Legend has it that Lu Sanjian was an extraordinary genius back then. Some said he was a disciple of the cleansing incense ancient sects Mu Shaodi, Muk Theda, and some said he was Mu Shaodi's grand disciple. It is rumored that in the battle 30,000 years ago, Lu Sanjian personally presided over the overall situation, confronting the old ancestor of the sacred heaven sect. Later, it was rumored that although the cleansing incense ancient sect was crushingly defeated, the sacred heaven sect feared Lu Sanjian and never attacked the cleansing incense ancient sects. Lair. Marquis Battle personally leading an expedition against the cleansing incense ancient sect made many sects and lineages think of many, many things. The cleansing incense ancient sect was an imperial lineage immortal sect, De Thong Tien Mon, inheriting immortal Emperor Ming Ren's imperial arts and imperial treasures. As long as one imperial art or one imperial treasure were lost to the mortal world, it would be enough to make people green with envy. Although there were early rumors that many imperial arts of the cleansing incense ancient sect had been lost, the fact that the cleansing incense ancient sect currently possessed imperial arts and great sage arts was still enough to make countless sects green with envy. At this time, many great sects were secretly discussing. This time, Marquis Battle's personal expedition was likely for the cleansing incense ancient sect's imperial arts, or perhaps even for the cleansing incense ancient sect's heaven's will. Secret art, Thien Men Be Thuet. The battleship stopped outside the cleansing incense ancient sect. Everyone in the cleansing incense ancient sect changed color greatly. For a moment, the atmosphere in the cleansing incense ancient sect was extremely tense. Every disciple of the cleansing incense ancient sect entered a state of combat readiness. At this moment inside the battle ship, a person stood up. This was a middle-aged man. The man had a burly and imposing physique. He was seen wearing battle armor, looking like a general on an expedition. This man had a leopard-like build and a tiger-like brow. His eyes held a fierce glint, and his aura was intimidating. When he stood up, he was like a golden mountain or jade pillar. His blood energy was unrestrained, surging up like a great wave reaching the sky. Fearsome blood rings floated around his body. The entire person standing there was like a blood-soaked leopard, ready to devour people, making people smell the scent of blood even from afar. Marquis Battle, a battle general of the Bao Tan Thuong Quoc, a villain of the human Emperor Bao Tan Thuong Quoc. He was not only a senior King Marquis but also a bloodthirsty expert. Haha, Brother Gu, I heard your esteemed sect is an imperial lineage immortal sect. This general has always admired imperial arts. I heard your esteemed sect possesses unrivaled imperial arts. This general can't help but be eager to try. Therefore, I have specifically come today to seek guidance, hoping to witness the unrivaled style of immortal Emperor Ming Ren's imperial arts. Marquis Battle stood atop the battleship, laughing heartily, his manner contemptuous. Marquis Battle went straight to the point, immediately saying he was there to seek guidance on the imperial arts, which made everyone in the cleansing incense ancient sect look extremely displeased. Such a contemptuous attitude, so excessively insulting, was an indication that he did not see anyone worthy in the cleansing incense ancient sect. As for the many cultivators from other sects who came to watch the show, they exchanged glances secretly. Marquis Battle openly said he was seeking guidance on the imperial arts. This was likely because he came for the cleansing incense ancient sect's imperial arts. Boom! To Marquis Battle's challenge. The great elder Gu Tiesho, Kothiat Thursday, had not yet responded, but the second elder Chao Xiong, Tao Hung, already leapt out, shouting sharply, "Little boy of the Lai family, don't be so arrogant. My cleansing incense ancient sect is not a place where you can act recklessly. This venerable one will teach you a lesson today." As soon as he finished speaking, Chao Xiong's fate palace, Men Kung, appeared in the air. Tru Chi, Chan Kai, floated above his head, and he stepped onto the battleship. Chao Xiong, being the first to accept the challenge, made the elders of the cleansing incense ancient sect exchange glances. As Chao Xiong faced the challenge, Marquis Battle looked at him coldly, saying disdainfully, "Just a hero, how hung, yet you dare to bluster in front of this venerable 1. Scram." As soon as he finished speaking, a blood banner, Qiye, floated above Marquis Battle's head and slashed down directly. As soon as the blood banner emerged, it immediately spanned 10,000 miles. The blood banner crossed the sky, like a blood sea covering the sky. Inside the blood banner, countless skulls floated and sank. The wailing sounds were startling for 1,000 miles. It was unknown how many people this blood banner had killed, and how many cultivators' lives it had devoured. The blood banner, Marquis Battle's true weapon, Chan Kai. As soon as they saw the blood banner slashing down, many people changed color greatly, exclaiming in shock. "Open!" Chao Xiong roared fiercely. His true chi rushed to the heavens, meeting the blood banner. With a loud boom sound, even though Chao Xiong borrowed the essence of heaven and earth, he still couldn't match Marquis Battle's single blow. Chao Xiong was knocked flying by the single slash of the banner, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, retreating staggeringly. Although Chao Xiong's Dao cultivation, Dao Han, was not shallow, and he could be said to be the second strongest expert of the cleansing incense ancient sect, compared to a king marquis, the difference was too great. A mere hero, not enough to establish the Dao. An ant dares to bluster, seeking death. Marquis Battle coldly glanced around, saying disdainfully, "Little boy of the Lai family, I'll fight you to the death." Chao Xiong was so angry that his face turned red, roaring in fury. However, at this moment, the great elder Qiye stopped Chao Xiong, instructing the other elders, saying, "Escort junior brother Chao back to heal his wounds." "Junior brother Chao, you are not his opponent. Let your senior brother go." Chao Xiong still wanted to fight, but he was dissuaded by the other elders. He could only sulkily return to heal his wounds. At this time, the great elder Qiye looked coldly at Marquis Battle. His eyes were fierce. With a loud boom sound, in an instant, the great elder's blood energy was like the sea, surging endlessly. Runes, Fu Van, circled around his body. More frighteningly, a Kunpeng, Konbang, floated above the great elder's head. The moment the Kunpeng roared loudly, it rushed into the sky. And the giant Kunpeng immediately crushed the firmament. At this moment, the Kunpeng looked down upon all directions, overlooking all living beings. Its unparalleled terrifying aura crushed all enemies. The Kunpeng, as the most powerful living creature in the world, its every stream of aura could collapse the heavens and earth. Facing a powerful enemy, the great elder did not hold back at this moment, directly exposing his king marquis strength. Kunpeng 6 transformations, Kon Bang Lukbian. Seeing the Kunpeng crushing the sky, the hearts of many cultivators and powerful individuals who came to follow were shaking. Imperial arts were indeed imperial arts, peerless and unrivaled. No matter how powerful a great sage art was, it could not compare to an imperial art. At this moment, the Kunpeng pressed down on the sky. Everyone felt a sense of suffocation. A complete imperial art, unleashed by a king marquis, had overwhelming power. A king marquis of the same level, if they had not cultivated an imperial art, would probably have to yield and retreat. "You want to fight? I will fight you." At this moment, the great elder Qiye was also overwhelmingly powerful. As a descendant of an imperial lineage, even if his talent was lacking, he was definitely not a coward. As soon as he finished speaking, the great elder stepped right in front of Marquis Battle. Marquis Battle's expression changed. He shouted loudly, and the blood banner slashed down. A single banner strike tore through the void. The endless sea of blood wanted to engulf Qiye, wanting to refine him. The Kunpeng leapt into the sky. The Kuanping flicked its tail like a fish, as if a giant fish jumped out of the sea. With a loud bang sound, the tail flicked, easily shattering Marquis Battle's sea of blood. On top of the blood banner, Marquis Battle retreated several steps staggeringly. Kill! Marquis Battle's face turned ugly. He roared fiercely, summoning the blood banner to sweep across. In an instant, blood shadows overlapped. Giant figures, one after another, stepped out from inside the blood banner. Each giant was 10,000 zhang. Tens of thousands of feet, tall, howling and roaring, shaking the heavens and earth. Blood giant totem, Huyet Siu Nan Du Dang. As soon as they saw the blood giants rushing out, crushing the heavens and earth, everyone's expression changed greatly. This was Marquis Battle's true weapon totem, Chan Kai Du Dang. Its power was absolute. It was unknown how many king marquises had been killed by this move of his. Open! The giants, one after another, crushing the heavens and earth, rushed forward. Gu Qiesho was not intimidated. He unleashed the Kuanping 6 transformations. The Kuanping cried out long and loud, descending. The Kuanping, with its fish tail and bird body, swooped down. Nothing could resist. Its giant head crashed down. The blood giants, one after another, were instantly shattered. When the giant claws tore, the blood giants were like pieces of paper. Snap! With a sound, the Kuanping easily shattered Marquis Battle's true weapon totem. When the Kuanping's fishtail swept down, Marquis Battle could not block it at all. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and his entire body was sent flying 1,000 miles. Seeing such a scene, everyone involuntarily took a deep breath of cold air. The cleansing incense ancient sect rejoiced, cheering loudly. Imperial art, it's truly terrifying. Gu Qiesho didn't even use his true weapon, yet he defeated Marquis Battle's true weapon relying on the imperial art. This is too terrifying. Cultivators watching the battle, whether they were regional overlords or heads of sects, all changed color greatly. The Kuanping 6 transformations, legend says it's the strongest core imperial art created by immortal Emperor Mingren. This is too terrifying. Seeing this scene, countless people changed color. They finally witnessed the power of an imperial art today. While everyone's expression changed greatly, their hearts also pounded. Because of it. Imperial art. This thing was truly too heaven-defying. You're still not good enough. At this moment, Gu Qiesho was overwhelmingly powerful. In an instant, he caught up to Marquis Battle. The Kuanping materialized, fiercely stomping towards Marquis Battle. Collect. Just at this moment, Marquis Battle roared loudly, summoning a divine diagram, then do. The divine diagram fell, instantly transforming into endless mountains and rivers. It instantly collected Gu Qiesho into it. The divine diagram turned into mountains and rivers. It was seen to be completely obscured. Following that, rumbling sounds echoed. Inside the vast mountains and rivers, Gu Qiesho could be vaguely seen leaping into the sky. The Kuanping traversed the heavens and earth. True Qi hovered above his head, sweeping across all directions. He tried several times to escape from inside these mountains and rivers, but was suppressed by the formation's pattern. Inside my sun guarding mountain and river diagram, June Thursday Sun Ha-du, let's see what kind of waves you can make. Marquis Battle snorted coldly. In an instant, he also stepped into the mountains and rivers. Wielding the formation. The great battle with Gu Qiesho was stuck inside the divine diagram. The sun guarding mountain and river diagram. As soon as they saw this formation diagram trapping Gu Qiesho, many people were secretly startled. A sect master watching the battle exclaimed in surprise, I heard that the Lai family has an unfathomable ancient saint, Ko Tan, who is proficient in formations. He once studied an ancient formation and refined this divine diagram, named the sun-guarding mountain and river diagram. I heard that if this formation diagram can unleash its full power, let alone an ancient saint, it might even be able to refine a sacred emperor, Tan Hong. Gu Qiye is in danger. Even if Marquis Battle cannot unleash the full power of this formation diagram, he can still kill Gu Qiye. Seeing such a scene, everyone couldn't help but shake their heads and say. Seeing Gu Qiye trapped inside the formation diagram, everyone in the cleansing incense ancient sect was shocked. The four elders also changed color. This situation was not favorable for the cleansing incense ancient sect. However, everyone underestimated Gu Qiye's strength. This battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Although Gu Qiye was trapped inside the ancient saint formation diagram, he still resisted by borrowing the might of the Kunpeng 6 transformations. Although he could not fight his way out of the sun-guarding mountain and river diagram, it was not so easy for Marquis Battle to suppress and kill Gu Qiye inside the formation diagram either. For a moment, Gu Qiye and Marquis Battle were in a stalemate inside the sun-guarding mountain and river diagram. Neither side could suppress and kill the other. Gu Qiye is indeed deeply hidden. We previously thought his strength was only at the hero level. We didn't expect him to be a senior king marquis. Everyone in the cleansing incense ancient sect couldn't help but have their hearts hanging high. Currently, only Gu Qiye inside the cleansing incense ancient sect could single-handedly shoulder the responsibility. As for the 4 other great elders, their hero-level strength was completely insufficient. Even if all 4 of them joined forces, they would probably be unable to compete with Marquis Battle. The cleansing incense ancient sect was facing a great calamity. All the disciples in the sect knew it. Qiye, who was being punished in the ghost cottage for facing the wall, also knew. The king marquis aura enveloped the cleansing incense ancient sect. Qiye inside the ghost cottage just raised his head and looked into the distance once. Outside the cleansing incense ancient sect, the great battle lasted for 5 days and 5 nights. Gu Qiye could not escape from the formation diagram, and Marquis Battle also could not kill Gu Qiye. Neither side could do anything to the other. Gu Qiye could not surrender, and Marquis Battle could not retreat his troops. Both sides could only continue the deadlock. On the 5th night, the night was quiet. The ghost cottage had an even more eerie atmosphere. Qiye sat in the main hall, closing his eyes to rest his mind. It seemed as if the great battle outside the cleansing incense ancient sect had nothing to do with him. The ghost cottage was silent. It seemed as if there truly were ghosts here. The night was silent. It was unknown how long passed. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew up. Qiye opened his eyes. Unbeknownst to him, a person was already standing in front of him. Qiye looked at the person standing in front of him, smiled and said, "Elder Chao, it's so late. Why are you still coming here?" At this moment, the person standing in front of Qiye was Chao Xiong, who was staying inside the cleansing incense ancient sect to heal his wounds. Chao Xiong looked at Qiye, his eyes were cold, but a smile hung on his face. He said with a smile, "Worthy nephew's talent is extraordinary. I was entrusted by the esteemed elders to come here to impart the sun-suppressing art, Truthy and Song, to worthy nephew." Sun-suppressing art. Qiye couldn't help but smile upon hearing this, saying, "Elder Chao, I heard the sun-suppressing art is the lesser technique, mat key, of our cleansing incense ancient Emperor's heavens will secret art. It is of great importance. Although it is only a lesser technique, its status is higher than even the great sage art. I heard that to impart this art, it must be agreed upon by all the elders. My coming to impart the sun-suppressing art to you was unanimously agreed upon by the esteemed elders." Chao Xiong said hastily, "Currently, The cleansing incense ancient sect is facing a great calamity. Senior brother is trapped inside the formation diagram. The esteemed elders need a miracle, need the heavens will secret art to resolve the crisis. We hope worthy nephew can call upon the ancestral master to give a vision in a dream, and impart the heavens will secret art to you. Elder Chow, I'm afraid that's not possible. Even if the ancestral master gives a vision and imparts the Tao, it might take 3 to 5 months. Qiye listened to Chao Xiong's words, hesitated for a moment and said. Chao Xiong said hastily. Try it first for the time being, to see if you can call upon the ancestral master for a vision in a dream. If not, we will think of other methods. All right then, I'll give it a try. I wonder if Elder Chow has brought the sun-suppressing art with him. Qiye also said quickly. Elder, it's still not appropriate. Protector Mo is supervising me. If I want to leave this place, I must first inform Protector Mo. How about this, Elder, quickly get Protector Mo to come and leave with me. Stop dragging your feet. At this moment, Chao Xiong said impatiently, I'm telling you to go, so you go with me. Qiye looked at Chao Xiong and said, Elder Chow, what is the meaning of this? I'm only following the normal procedure. Elder Chow, as an elder of the cleansing incense ancient sect, should know the correct procedure. Stop talking nonsense. Immediately follow me now. Chao Xiong's eyes were fierce, exhaling and inhaling a malicious glint. He said in a deep voice. Are you coming voluntarily, or should I take you? Elder Chow, you didn't come here entrusted by the esteemed elders. At this moment, Qiye seemed to understand. He stepped back while holding the zither, saying in surprise. You're not completely stupid. Seeing Qiye become suspicious, Chao Xiong simply stopped pretending. He said eerily, if you want to live, immediately follow me. Otherwise, this venerable one will act personally and make things difficult for you. At this moment, Qiye seemed to calm down. He looked at Chao Xiong and said. In other words, Elder Chow wants to seize the heavens will secret art. However, even if the ancestral master gives a vision in a dream, I won't give it to you. You don't need to worry about that. Wait until this venerable one takes you to a secluded place and locks you up. At that time, this venerable one isn't afraid of you not confessing. Chao Xiong said with an insidious laugh. If I go missing, Protector Mo will probably find out very quickly. Qiye shook his head and said. Chao Xiong sneered, saying, so what if he finds out? The cleansing incense ancient sect is currently facing a great calamity, in utter chaos. The ghost cottage is unguarded. Maybe you fled during the chaos. If a page or two of handwritten notes for the sun-suppressing art are dropped inside this ghost cottage, everyone will probably suspect that you are a spy who infiltrated the cleansing incense ancient sect, coming precisely for the cleansing incense ancient sects. Sun-suppressing art, precisely for the cleansing incense ancient sects heavens will secret art. At that time, Protector Mo and the others will all be your accomplices. Elder Chow. You are too confident in your plan. Aren't you afraid the esteemed elders will see through it? Qiye shook his head and said. The esteemed elders see through it. Perhaps after this calamity, the cleansing incense ancient sect will have a new sect master emerge. Gutiesho is trapped and dying inside the formation diagram. The cleansing incense ancient sect needs a powerful elder to lead the cleansing incense ancient sect to counterattack the powerful enemy. And the current sect master is weak and incompetent, facing a great disaster. He cowers outside the borders and dares not join the fight. Therefore, everyone in the cleansing incense ancient sect will probably make a wise choice. Chao Xiong couldn't help but laugh sinisterly, thinking of his plan. In that case, Elder Chow will become the new sect master. Qiye smiled and said, Since Elder Chao wants to become the new sect master, why the haste to seize the heavens? Will secret art? Stop talking nonsense. Chao Xiong's eyes were fierce, starting to become impatient. Qiye looked at Chao Xiong and couldn't help but smile, saying, I understand. Turns out you're making a deal with someone else. Is it Dong Xinglong, Dong Tanlong, or is it marquee battle? It seems the person you're dealing with doesn't let go of the hawk until they see the rabbit. They won't retreat their troops, or they won't be willing to support you for the position, unless you hand over the heavens will secret art. Nonsense. Follow me. Chao Xiong became extremely agitated. He shouted sharply and reached out to grab Qiye. Chao Xiong, I never thought the traitor would be you. Just at that moment, a loud roar rang out. At this moment, 5 people rushed in from outside. Aside from the 4 elders of the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, there was also Protector Mo. As Elder Sun and the others suddenly rushed in, Chao Xiong's expression changed drastically. He retreated 1 step, instantly grabbing Qiye, and withdrawing to a corner. At this moment, Elder Sun, Elder Qian, Elder Zhou, and Elder Wu, the 4 elders, instantly surrounded Chao Xiong. Chao Xiong, you betray the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect, selling out the sect's imperial art. Are you worthy of the ancestors? Elder Qian shouted. Chao Xiong's face was alternately red and white. He couldn't believe it, saying in shock, why are you all here? Weren't you outside the mountain gate? Elder Chao, I have been paying attention to your every move. You and Marquis Battle acted too convincingly, even fooling the elders, but you couldn't fool me. Protector Mo said in a deep voice. Chao Xiong's face was extremely ugly. He had originally intended to take advantage of the emptiness and unguarded state inside the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect to capture Qiye. He had planned to do it without anyone knowing. But he never expected to be tracked by Protector Mo. Chao Xiong, it's still not too late to surrender. Elder Wu shouted. The winner is king, the loser is bandit. There's nothing to talk about. If you know what's good for you, make way for me. Otherwise, I will crush your precious treasure. Without him, you will never find the heavens will secret art. Chao Xiong shouted. Seeing Chao Xiong's 5 fingers grasping Qiye's head, Elder Sun, and the others' expressions changed drastically. They exchanged glances. So he is the key to the heavens will secret art. Just at that moment, a steady voice rang out. At this moment, a person walked in from outside the ghost cottage. As soon as he walked in, he emitted a king marquis aura, causing Elder Sun and the others' expressions to change drastically. Dong Xinglong. Elder Sun exclaimed in shock. Chao Xiong, you didn't tell me that this brat was the key to the heavens will secret art. Dong Xinglong's gaze now fell upon Qiye's body. Then, his eyes narrowed and he chuckled as he said, in other words, acquiring this brat will allow us to obtain the Cleansing Incense Ancient Sect's imperial art. Brother Dong, now is not the time for us to blame each other. Chao Xiong said in a deep voice, now we should join forces and leave this place first. Dong Xinglong glanced at Chao Xiong, sneering and said, Chao Xiong, with your meager intelligence you want to command me. Humph, if it weren't for me keeping a close eye on you this time, you would already be a dead man. Chao Xiong. Colluding with outsiders, betraying the sect. Your sins are unforgivable. At this moment, Elder Zhou couldn't help but shout. The 4 elders were also furious because of this. Chao Xiong's face was alternately white and green. Finally, he snorted coldly, no longer bothering to argue. With Dong Xinglong's appearance, the outcome was already decided. And Dong Xinglong looked at the 4 elders smiling and said, Old Zhou, although what you say is true, after today, it will no longer be the truth. Ha Qiye colluded with the 9 holy demon gate Qitan Yuman. stealing the cleansing incense ancient sect's imperial art. He was discovered by you four elders, and a great battle ensued with the traitor, and the 9 holy demon gate successor Xuangan. In the end they both died in battle. As for Gutiesho, Chao Xiong, and I joined forces, slashed our way into the formation diagram, defeated marquee battle, and forced the powerful enemy to retreat. And Gutiesho was severely injured in the formation, and died from his wounds. The cleansing incense ancient sect Su Yonghuang, Tuang Hong, is weak and incompetent. Facing a great disaster, she cowers on the border and dares not join the fight. Everyone in the cleansing incense ancient sect should remove her from the sect master position. And Elder Chao, who rendered meritorious service in protecting the sect, will be supported by the disciples and become the sect master of the cleansing incense ancient sect. Dong Shenglong said slowly. The 4 elders' expressions were extremely ugly upon hearing this. They were not afraid of one Chao Xiong, but with Dong Shenglong's appearance, the outcome was decided. Even if the 4 of them joined forces, they would struggle to compete with Dong Shenglong. Isn't this a good story? Perhaps it will even become a triumphant tale to be sung about by the cleansing incense ancient sect. Dong Shenglong was very satisfied with his scheme. He laughed and said, Chao Xiong will peacefully be his sect master. As for me, well, I should resign after being a guest elder of your cleansing incense ancient sect for so long, having fulfilled my responsibilities. When you resign, will you also take away the cleansing incense ancient sect's imperial art? But at this moment, a leisurely and comfortable laugh rang out. These words were spoken by Qiye, who was being forcibly held by Chao Xiong. Qiye was still holding the ancient zither. Even though he was being forcibly held by Chao Xiong, he remained calm. At this moment he smiled and looked at Dong Shenglong, saying unhurriedly, the scheme is not bad. Unfortunately, in my eyes, that is nothing more than an armchair theory. Also, before you die, you should remember one sentence: those who block my path, kill without mercy. Clang! As soon as he finished speaking, Qiye's 5 fingers suddenly plucked the ancient zither. In a flash, the ancient zither in his embrace instantly lit up, surging with endless brilliance. Dao might, Dao Uy, surged, instantly shaking off Chao Xiong, who was forcibly holding him. Clang! The zither rang, and the zither rhyme harmonized. The zither rhyme inside the ghost cottage instantly came alive. In that moment, the dense, intricate patterns inside the ghost cottage lit up, surging with endless runes. With a sound like a sword cry, 2 streaks of sword light instantly shot out. Ah! A streak of sword light slashed down. Chao Xiong didn't even have time to let out a miserable shriek. His head flew up. When his head flew higher and higher, he only saw fresh blood spraying out from his neck. Even in death, he didn't understand what was happening. Dong Shenglong let out a miserable shriek. A streak of sword light instantly pierced into his body. The sword light instantly destroyed his Dao foundation, Dao Ko. Under the single sword strike, his Dao foundation was too fragile to withstand a single blow. His Dao foundation was crumbling under the sword light. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, falling heavily to the ground. No! Dong Shenglong let out a miserable shriek. He tumbled on the ground, his face drained of color in fright, shouting loudly, No, no, it's impossible. At this moment, the 4 elders and protector Mo were stunned. Chao Xiong was one thing, but Dong Shenglong was a king marquis, yet he couldn't withstand a single blow. Up until now, the 4 elders didn't know what exactly had happened. My 3,000 years of Dao cultivation. Finally, Dong Shenglong screamed. He trembled as he crawled up. In an instant, he seemed to have aged several hundred years. His body was hunched, and his blood energy had withered. Little beast, I'll fight you to the death. Kill me. Kill me. After standing up, Dong Xinglong was like a madman, charging towards Qiye. However, at this moment, he was like a 100-year-old man, trembling even when walking. Arrest him. At this moment, Qiye said leisurely. The four elders and Protector Mo also snapped back to their senses. Elder Qian easily captured Dong Xinglong. At this moment, Elder Qian realized that all of Dong Xinglong's Dao cultivation had been destroyed, which shocked him immensely. Little beast. If you have the guts, kill me. Kill me. Dong Xinglong was like a furious rage. In Elder Qian's grasp, he struggled desperately, his hair a mess, gnashing his teeth, and flailing towards Qiye. Trying to pounce over. Cultivating for 3,000 years, yet having his Dao cultivation completely destroyed overnight. For a cultivator, this was more painful than killing him. It was no wonder Dong Xinglong was so furious. Qiye slowly glanced at him at this moment, saying, I will kill you, but not now. You shouldn't, you absolutely shouldn't, your biggest mistake was provoking me. You are seeking your own demise. At this moment, Dong Xinglong screamed sharply, charging at Qiye, but Elder Qian easily held him back. Such a sudden change deeply shocked the four elders. Just moments ago, Dong Xinglong was a king marquis, whom they feared immensely. They were afraid that even if the four of them joined forces, they might not be a match for Dong Xinglong. But the next moment, Dong Xinglong turned into an old man who couldn't even truss a chicken. This was too terrifying. At this moment, even the four elders couldn't help but look fearfully at the ancient zither in Qiye's embrace. Seeing this ancient-style zither, they all shivered. Finally, Dong Xinglong was escorted away and imprisoned. What exactly happened? Chao Xiong's betrayal of the sect no longer needed to be discussed, but Qiye easily killing Chao Xiong and destroying Dong Xinglong still shocked the four elders. Immortal Emperors. Imperial Foundation and Immortal Might, Tian de Yuan Tian Uy, that's all. Imperial Foundation and Immortal Might transforming into a sword are enough to kill in all directions. Qiye held the zither, saying calmly. At this moment, the four elders and Protector Mo involuntarily appraised this ghost cottage. When Qiye plucked the zither just now, they all felt that majestic Dao rhyme. But everything was too fast. They couldn't see clearly. Looking now, they still couldn't discern the mystery. Where did this ancient zither come from? Elder Sun took a breath of cold air, saying in surprise. Qiye smiled and said, I was punished to face the wall here. At night, the ancestral master appeared in my dream, giving me a vision, telling me that an ancient zither was buried beneath the cottage. This ancient zither was played by the ancestral master back then, and later sank underground. I followed the ancestral master's instructions and dug out the ancient zither. In the dream, the ancestral master also told me the true mystery related to this cottage of the zither. It turns out, this cottage was the place where the ancestral master reminisced in a dream back then. When the ancestral master inherited the essence of heaven and earth and immortal might, playing the zither here, the Tao profound meaning was inadvertently imprinted into the zither rhyme. Over time, the entire cottage of the zither became imprinted with the zither rhyme. At the same time, the endless continuity within the zither rhyme also endured the ancestral master's vast imperial foundation and immortal might. Even, this zither rhyme conceals an unsurpassed zither Dao. Qiye spoke continuously, sounding as if it were true. Qiye smiled and said, the ancestral master guided this disciple in the dream to mobilize this zither rhyme, and wield the imperial foundation and immortal might. Upon hearing Qiye's words, the four elders couldn't help but be profoundly moved. They never dreamed that this place, which they regarded as the ghost cottage, actually bore such imperial foundation and immortal might. Qiye is the Lord of Restoration, Trung Hung Chi Chu, of our cleansing incense ancient sect. The ancestral master choosing him means that he will lead us towards restoration and repeat the glory of our cleansing incense. Ancient sect. Elder Wu couldn't help but say emotionally. First, the ancestral master gave a vision and imparted the Tao, and now the ancestral master gave a vision and bestowed a treasure. For the four great elders, there was no doubt that the ancestral master had chosen Qiye, selecting him as the Lord of Restoration of the cleansing incense ancient sect. In an instant, Qiye's status in the minds of the elders completely changed. Qiye was chosen by the ancestral master immortal Emperor Mingren. In the future, he represented the ancestral master. The four great elders finally recovered their senses with great difficulty. Elder Qian mumbled, "The matter of the cottage of the zither, I read some records. I heard it really was the place where the ancestral master played the zither. I never thought that this place actually bore the ancestral master's imperial foundation and immortal might. This cottage of the zither bears the imperial foundation and immortal might. Isn't this stronger than the ancestral master's portrait?" Elder Zhou couldn't help but murmur. "This is all thanks to Qiye. That's right, we missed out on an imperial artifact, Devat, again." Elder Sun also couldn't help but say. Elder Wu said excitedly, "The ancestral master protects our cleansing incense ancient sect, unwilling to see our cleansing incense ancient sect decline. Therefore, he chose Qiye as the Lord of Restoration for our cleansing incense ancient sect." For a moment, the four great elders were endlessly excited. The decline of the cleansing incense ancient sect, because of Qiye's miracle like this, allowed them to see hope. Not good. At this moment, Elder Qian snapped back to reality, saying in shock, "Senior brother is still trapped inside the formation diagram. We must hurry and save him. Perhaps the Sacred Heaven sect will use other wicked schemes to harm senior brother. Inside the cleansing incense ancient sect, that's not difficult." Qiye smiled and said, "Let me play a tune to break Marquis Battle's formation diagram." After speaking, he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to play the ancient zither. Immediately the ancient zither lit up, and the cottage of the zither also lit up with it. The dense, intricate patterns on the cottage of the zither also appeared, transforming into endless runes. Boom! At this moment, the imperial foundation and immortal might contained within the zither rhyme were mobilized by Qiye. In a flash, the imperial foundation and immortal might erupted, crushing the heavens. The four great elders present couldn't help but tremble in their legs. They couldn't even stand steadily, being completely suppressed. Lying on the ground under the imperial foundation and immortal might, ancestral master's spirit has appeared. Feeling the ancient and vicissitudinous imperial foundation and immortal might, the four great elders were all extremely excited, so excited that tears filled their eyes. After countless years passed, they finally witnessed the ancestral master's imperial foundation and immortal might. Outside the cleansing incense ancient sect, there were still many cultivators and powerful individuals paying attention to the battle between Gu Tieshou and Marquis Battle. Although Gu Tieshou had not yet emerged from the sun-guarding mountain and river diagram, the fact that he still stood firm under the suppression of Marquis Battle and the formation diagram made many cultivators admire and be moved. Thank you for listening to the story on KTN Storyverse. Please like, share, and subscribe to enjoy more amazing stories.